That's what I'm thinking.
Tara, we've been waiting on you.
Yes, I am here.
See if I've got
Alright, so she's ready. I'll This is the other Sam Square. That's it. Sam Sam is operating a business off of his place on the lake and off Main Street.
Grace of God, Bob. If you could please give your attention to the lovely lady up front, Miss Robin Mirren. She is is a resource here to our entrepreneurs in Columbia, and she would like to just announce something for your benefit. So please give her a minute of your time.
Hopefully 2 minutes. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, quick announcement. So I'm Robin Marin with the Small Business Development Center, and I'd like to just speak to the women in the room, if that's okay. Derek, would that be okay? Just focus
I'm
on.
not a woman.
So all the men, you can just get on your phones and just give me a minute with the women in the room. But we have a women's group that I want to talk about. How many women-owned small businesses are here today? All right, yay! I'd like to just talk to you guys for a minute, if that's okay. Would you agree that women-owned small businesses have unique challenges, but amazing potential and opportunities?
Yeah.
Absolutely. How many women here are looking to connect with other women-owned small businesses? Yes. How rare is it to find groups of women that will lift each other up and not compete, gossip, or tear each other down? Yes. So how many of you would like to place where you feel encouraged, celebrated, and lifted up as you build your business alongside other female entrepreneurs? Yes. So that's what we're trying to do. So I have a group for you. Some of you have heard of WEBA. It's Women in Business Alliance. So who loves acronyms? I feel like we live in an acronym world. I know Jim can speak to that. Jim, who I work with, is like, Robin in acronyms. WEBA, Women in Business Alliance, is our group. This is a group that was started by myself and my friend and colleague Dawn Brosh. She couldn't be here today. Many of you know Dawn. We started about 2 years ago, and it was initially a group that we were just going to have for the women in the incubator. And we got together this summer and we decided to open it up to the larger Columbia for women-owned businesses in the larger Columbia sphere. So we're going to start January 28th. So mark your calendar. January 28th, we're going to start, and it's going to be open to women-owned businesses in the Columbia area. And it's going to be downstairs. Capacity will be limited to 20, the first people that sign up, 20 women who sign up. We're going to have a speaker. We're going to have lively discussion, friendly conversation. And we're just going to support and build each other up and find ways to support each other. And then we're going to have a biannual service opportunity to give back to the community. So I'm going to be sitting here today. If you want more information, I'll give you my business card. But you're going to look for us on Eventbrite. We're going to list those meetings on Eventbrite. So mark your calendar January 28th and look for us on Eventbrite. So
what time?
It's going to be over the noon hour. So it's going to be like 12 to 1:30. So excited to see you guys. Thank you so much for letting me talk.
Robin. All right. Now you can be presentation again. So come back, boys. Thank you. If you could please scan the QR code if you are for a new time, first timer. Please scan it also. This is how we take attendance. We want the organization to know we are alive and thriving. And we would just like, if you're new, scan it and want to be your friend. So promise not to spam you all of the time. I see a lot of new faces. If this is your first time with us, could you just raise your hand? I'm just curious as to how many. Thank you. And if you're a student here, could you raise your hand too? Just to say, yay! Thank you. I love my students. Thank you guys for coming in. I am sure you're getting credit for this. So, but thank you. All right, we're going to get started with the housekeeping. If you haven't already scanned it, this is your last chance. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Moving on. Welcome. This is 1 Million Cups, and the mission of 1 Million Cups is to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for all types of new, seasoned, and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. We give presentations, not pitches. We make authentic connections. We're just not here to network. And we're radically and intentionally inclusive, and we're run for the community, by the community. And what I mean by that are these are the local businesses and business owners that bring this to you weekly. So we're grateful to the USC Columbia Technology Incubator for housing us. We appreciate the Waffle House for donating the coffee to us. And below are all of the business owners here that help bring you the speakers, coach the speakers, put together the marketing, put together the email, and everything it takes to run this. And do we get paid? Absolutely not. It is a labor of love. And my organizers, can you just raise your hands for just a moment here? There's a few of us in the room. All we get for all of our labor is a lousy t-shirt. And Bob is modeling the lousy t-shirt. That's all we get, folks. Nothing more than that gorgeous, gorgeous item that he is wearing. Our local program. If you didn't know, we've actually been around for over 10 years, and we're held weekly every Wednesday morning. 1 Million Cups is also a national program, so while we're meeting here every Wednesday at 9 a.m., so are other chapters across the U.S. Closest chapter to us is the Charleston chapter. If you're ever out that way, give them check them out on 9 a.m. on Wednesday. We have had over 500 entrepreneur presentations, and we also offer educational topics like finance, future frame, networking, and provide you local resources. We usually have one presenter a week with a 5 to 6 minute presentation, and we follow that with Q&A from the community. We also have some Made It sessions like we do today, which we're very excited about, and we have entrepreneurs who come in and share their stories with us. Again, we're always free, we're always open to the public, and we do like to caffeinate you, so take advantage of that in the back. A reminder, it is not a sales pitch. We're looking for presenters, and I'm filling the pipeline for January and February currently. So if you would like to present, you may go ahead and take a screenshot there of that link and apply online, or you can come and speak to me directly or any of our organizers, and we would love to have you present. It is not a sales pitch. It is not an investor's pitch. The goal is to have people understand what you do and some of the challenges you've had in building your businesses. We love newer businesses, 0 to 5 years old. Maybe perhaps you just got an idea and you want to share it with the group. We love that too. Or maybe you're rebranding and you want to see what that sounds like to the community. We'd like to hear that as well. All industries are welcome. We have 2 Facebook pages. One is 1 Million Cups Columbia. That is kind of our national page. And this is our little family page. So if you're not a part of this one, go ahead and scan the QR code and become a part of this one. This one is the one we like to engage all of our communication. If you have a question, you need a resource, you want to share a resource, you've got an idea, this is where we like to have those little family conversations, if you will. Upcoming presenters. So next week, we're going to have Mr. Tom Ledbetter, who is right here for all of you. Tom's going to be teaching us something. Tom, you want to just tell them what you're going to learn next week?
Yeah, we're going to understand the front end of becoming an entrepreneur by using the business model canvas. We'll explore the business model canvas and everything that goes along with it to help you get a business. Get your feet under a business without spending a whole lot of money first. So that's what it's all about next week.
Thank you, Tom. And then the following week, we won't be here. You can come, you might be lonely, but we won't be here. So mark the calendars, folks. December 3rd, we're going to start off the December month with Dr. Kenneth Sessions, who's coming in to talk about the Total Tech Experience. Is he here? Are you believing it? Poor guy. I'm sorry, Kenny. And then December 10th is open. Could that be you? Oh, let me know. All right? All right, just because I'm a mom and I love to, please, everybody, take a look at your phones and let's just silence them. Turn them off, silence them. It's only about an hour. People don't miss you for that long. So please go ahead and take the time to do that. Thank you, everybody. And without further ado, I would love to present to you Mr. Samuel Shepard. He is an inventor with 42 patents to date, a businessman, a forensic investigator, a cosmologist. Did I say that wrong?
That has nothing to do with makeup.
He's a speaker, a painter, an entrepreneur, and a dinosaur hunter. Samuel was diagnosed in 2003 with a rare form of bone marrow cancer that could not be treated with conventional methods. He used his years of education and experience as a researcher and inventor to find an alternative. And after years of experimentation, he developed and patented Valasta. And I am excited to hear about that. So while I put up his thing, please bring Mr.
Thank you very much. I'm going to start off with a story. I'm actually coming to this presentation from the grave. In 2003, I was given a terminal cancer diagnosis. I was called into the doctor's office and told that I had less than a 3% chance of living past 10 years. I had a cancer called polycythemia vera. It was terminal, no chemo, no radiation. The only way to keep me alive, like I said, this was in 2003, I had to be phlebotomized every month. They would take my blood out and allow me to continue on for the next 30 days. That went on for 4 years. Not a cancer you want to have. You wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning knowing all this is going to end. And I did that for 4 years. To this day, I still get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. The reason that I tell you that story has to do with this presentation. It's not going to be a long presentation. I only have about 4 slides. See if this works. Oh, it does. That's the most crucial thing to being an entrepreneur. Find a need and fill it. It's not you. You're not going to be an entrepreneur for you. It's find a need and fill it. These were the keys that I've gone through. I've started 11 companies, from alternative energy to environmental systems. I built wastewater treatment plants for the Chinese for the 2008 Olympics, spent 3 years there. All based on technology from an idea that I had. The technology didn't exist. And that's what allowed me to file for those patents. Remember these 4 letters. WIB. That's the key. The first W stands for the will. Are you willing to give up everything to pursue your business opportunities? Are you willing to give up your family, which is tough? Bring your family along with you. Make them part of what you're doing. Communicate with your family. Are you willing to lose sleep? It takes risk. And it's going to be a lot of hard work. There's nothing easy about this. There's no quick way to riches. If you're in this to earn money and get rich next week, you're in the wrong business. Your payroll is going to come way before any money that you see. You're going to have people dependent on you. You're going to be responsible for their lives and well-being. Entrepreneurship is tough. And it may cost you your families. So make sure you get all your ducks in a row so that you don't lose that which is closest to you. The B stands for belief. You better believe that it's the right thing to do. It's not selling drugs. It's not playing in a crime. It's got to be something you truly believe is the right thing to do. The next W is a wherewithal. You've got to have the tools. You've got to be educated. You've got to know your product. You've got to know your service. Or you have to know people who know those things. That's called partnership. So you may have to partner, but be very careful who you partner with. These 3 things are absolutely crucial to being an entrepreneur, but they're meaningless without that. You have to do it. Don't make excuses. Oh, I can't get the money. I can't get the capital. Oh, it's too hard. It's too painful. I've sat on an airplane and told a guy that what I did for a living, He said, man, he said, I got a good idea. His idea was to put a smoke detector in a hay barn that was 2 miles away from his house so that he would get a pre-warning if a fire burned out from his hay catching fire in his barn. I said, that's a great idea. He said, yeah. I said, why aren't you doing it? He said, well, then the excuses start. Well, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. Is it really worth it? Well, if you don't do it, none of that matters. And it takes fairly unique people to jump out there to do it because you're exposing yourself. You're taking personal risk. If you care about what other people think about you, you're in the wrong business. That's going to be a problem. Let's see if I can go on here. There we go. I'm going to spin through these, but this is just to reiterate what I was talking about. The fastest way to get everything you want is to help enough other people get what they need. That's crucial, and that's why I brought this. This is not for you to join Rotary or anything like that, but Rotary has 4 steps that they live by. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? If you could live by those principles in your entrepreneurship, then it'll work. Self-sacrifice is not self-neglect. Don't become a narcissist. You're not doing this for you. You're fulfilling a need of them, your customers. The customer, who was it? Tom, you may have told me here. There was a gentleman who once said there's 2 rules to business. Number 1 rule, the customer is always right. Number 2, if the customer is wrong, reread rule number 1. Sometimes that's hard to swallow. But sometimes you have to just let it happen. As long as it's not going to kill anyone, injure somebody, or bankrupt you, let it go. You could use that as a learning experience later on. Provide value, earn trust, receive opportunities, reinvest, give more. That's the loop. So find a product or a service that serves someone else. And that's the key. Now, in my case, in 2003, I was diagnosed with the incurable bone cancer. I'm trained, highly trained. I thought, here I am, I'm going to use I, because up to that point I was very, very successful in my career. I developed electromagnetic pulse weapons for DARPA under the Department of Defense. I developed auditory weapons. These are non-lethal weapons, and I also developed bioweapons. And I was very good at it. And I got paid a lot of money for providing ways of injuring or killing people. I may have gotten too close to something. In 2003, I end up with a bone marrow cancer, incurable. Doctor calls me in. I get a call on a Sunday night by a nurse. She says, the doctor wants to see you at 7:30 Monday morning. If you ever get that call, it is not good. Doctors don't come in at 7:30 in the morning. So I went in, sat there, he rolled up in his little chair, put his hands on my knees, and he said, I got bad news. He says, you have an incurable bone cancer called polycythemia vera. And I said, well, what about chemo or radiation? And he just shook his head no. And I said, what are you telling me? He said, Sam, he said, this is terminal. And it was as if I went into shock. I had 2 airplanes. I could go anywhere in the world. Had all the money, probably more money than everybody combined in here. And it was meaningless. Without your health, you have nothing. You'll be totally consumed by yourself. So I went off to the hospital. My blood was like ketchup. My blood pressure was 280 over 160. I thought my eyes were going to blow out of my head. And I knew how I was going to go. It was going to be a stroke, blood clot to the heart, to the lung, or to the brain. So I go to the hospital, they phlebotomize me, take my blood out. It's the old analogy, the solution to pollution is dilution. So they sucked my blood out, filled me full of saline, and it messes with you. You don't think right. And I had contracts with the Department of Defense and several contracts around the world. And I didn't want anybody to know that I was even sick. I didn't tell anyone. Nobody wants to do business with a dead man. So it was the loneliest period of my life. So one very dark morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning, I knew I was going to stroke. I was going to be a dependent on my family. And God and I got really close. And I'm sitting at the kitchen table with a loaded 38 and a cup of coffee. And the reality, I was pinched. I couldn't go forward anymore. I was either going to go over the wall or under the wall. So I just asked the question, there's got to be something on this planet that doesn't get cancer. Some leaves, some trees, some animals. So I was put in a position with the DoD where I had access to a database called ProQuest. And ProQuest had all of the information known in the universe in it. And that's what we use for research and for, to find things. We could query it. So I went to ProQuest and I asked to list all of the animals that don't get cancer. And it came back, gave me 5. Salmon, pink flamingos, sharks, elephants, and mole rats. Naked mole rats. They're the ugliest creatures you've ever seen. So in the position I was in, Scripps Oceanographic was on the team with me in San Diego. So I asked them, I said, can you get tissue samples from these 5 animals, and I want you to do a mass spec and identify every molecule in every one of these 5 animals. And then I want to put in a screening algorithm, screen out everything that belongs in that animal. Get it out. I want to know every molecule that shouldn't be in any of those 5 species. And didn't know whether it was going to work or not. Well, 4 months later, they contacted me and they said they found one. Shouldn't be in any of them. And yet it's found in all 5. Turned out to be a product called astaxanthin. Have you ever heard of it? Astaxanthin is produced from an algae called Haematococcus pluvialis. Now, there will be a test, so make sure you finish So I went to University of Texas, and you've seen those Intex hot tubs, those blow-up hot tubs you can get at Walmart. They had a blower on it and a heater and all that. So I went and got one of those, and I took the algae species, and I got really good at growing it. And it's a green algae. But then I figured out how to make it produce the astaxanthin because of a little trick that I saw at the Salton Sea, where it grows. When its pond begins to dry up, the salt content begins to increase. The algae thinks that it's dying. So it produces this red antioxidant so that when the sun beats down on it, it will live in the dirt. So when it rains 100 years from now, it'll come back to life and be able to repropagate. That was the life cycle of this. So I grew it. I did what's called a DAF, a dissolved air flotation. I could bubble with my little Emtex blow up hot tub. And the red algae, the way I did it is I added salt to the pond that it was in, and it thought that it was drying up just because the salt content increased. So that was a little trick. But it would turn red, and it is this deep red. And I would float it to the top, skim it off, put it in a dehydrator. I knew it was 3.8% astaxanthin. So if I wanted to dose myself, I could calculate, let's say my first dose was 4 milligrams per day. So I could calculate how many grams of this biomass I had to eat to give me a 4 milligram per liter, or 4 milligram per day dosing. Well, when I did that, like I said, my phlebotomies was once a month. So I started out 4 milligrams per day. My phlebotomies went to once every 2 months. Statistically, it wasn't all that significant. But my fear was, I'm eating a red algae. What's it going to do to my liver or my kidneys? Is that going to kill me? Well, when I got my blood work back, I was probably borderline pre-diabetic. I had an A1C of 6.2. Got my blood work back for the first time, and my A1C was 5.4. Wow. All my blood work was normal, except for my hemoglobin was still climbing out. So I thought, it isn't killing me. I can't scientifically determine that it's working yet, but it's not killing me, and it's moving in the right direction. So I tripled the dose, and I went to 12 milligrams per day. After about 2 months, my phlebotomies went to once every 4 months. That was significant. Now, I could calculate, because I had 3 slopes of the curve. I had to control once a month, 4 milligrams once every 2 months, 12 milligrams once every 4 months. This is why we take calculus, by the way. You might wonder why you're taking that class, but that's why.
Here.
Yeah. So I was able to then calculate the rates of change of those slopes and ask the question mathematically, how much do I have to take so that I'm never phlebotomized for the next 50 years of my life? And it came out at 96 milligrams a day. I started taking 100 milligrams per day. My phlebotomies ended. And I'm here. I should have died in 2013. That was the end of my life. So then I thought, how is it working? And as a biochemist, I could figure this out. I had all the tools in the toolbox. I could chemical reactions, kinetics, thermodynamics, Gibbs free energy. I could do all of that. So in my mind, there's a confidence issue. If somebody could solve this, I could solve this. God gave me those tools for that specific point in time. Coming up to that point, I would never have ever planned my career to have gone down this path. But now looking back, I'm going, everything I acquired in my entire life came to that point. So I began to look at it. I spent $1.8 million of my own money because I didn't trust anybody. I didn't want a partner. So be very careful who your partners are. I did all the research through universities. I funded it. And the way I looked at it was rather narcissistic. I could have left all the money to my kids, or I could try to save my own life. And I chose to save my own life. Now, my kids are going to be very well taken care of, but at the time I'm making that decision, I didn't know that. So, what happened in those 8 years was I was able to figure out biochemically why we get disease. And I found the 4 free radicals that cause 92% of all human death. Superoxide, singlet oxygen, the peroxyl and the hydroxyl free radical. There's one more called a nitriol, which is a nitrogen-based free radical. So the astaxanthin neutralizes all 5 of those free radicals.
Wow.
No more cancer, no more heart disease, no more type 2 diabetes, doesn't work on type 1, no more arthritis, no more Alzheimer's, no more Parkinson's. These are all inflammatory diseases related to those 4 free radicals. In April of 2019, Trey Gowdy asked me to go to Washington and testify. Went on for 2 hours. There were about 200 representatives there, senators. Ben Carson was there with his staff. The 5 majors, Johns Hopkins, Sloan, MD Anderson, Mayo, and the Cleveland Clinic, all sent representatives, directors, to that meeting. And I informed them that I now know what causes cancer, and I know how to stop it. And they were shocked. The director of oncology for Johns Hopkins, after the 2-hour presentation, everybody's sort of filing out, but he stayed over by the window. And I was talking to some people, and I saw him standing with his arms folded, so I went over and thanked him for coming, and he put his hand down. He said, "No," he said, "I owe you an apology." I said, "No, you don't." He said, "Yeah," he said, "I was very skeptical." I said, "So was I." And he said, "You have this figured out, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I know why people get these diseases now." And he was the gatekeeper for money that moves, that's passed in Congress, that goes to the NIH. So he would screen where the money was being allocated. He screened $80 million to prove me wrong. And now there's over 1,000 peer-reviewed articles that you can Google yourself and search, proving me right.
Sounds like you wasted $80 million.
He didn't waste it, because nobody's going to believe me. So I've got 2 patents. It's the only product, natural product, that was ever allowed to be patented. So I have patents on that. It stops inflammatory disease, stops the inflammation caused by radiation sickness in astronauts. And the way we found that was people who had cancer went in to get radiation for the treatment of the cancer. If they were on this product, they didn't get any secondary burns.
Okay.
And that's pretty common with radiation. You get these secondary burns. 100% of the on Velasta never got a burn. Never burned. And the doctors thought they weren't giving them enough millisieverts of radiation. They go back and check and say, "We don't understand why you didn't get burned." They said, "Well, I'm taking this product." So you can buy astaxanthin at Walmart, but you have to take it 8 times more. And that was part of the research that I had done. So in bioweapons development, I'm not going to tell you any secrets, I don't think. But if we wanted to develop a molecule that would stop your heart, well, the operator, the special forces guy that deploys that weapon, has to have time to leave the country. It's not a suicide mission for him. So we would make that product called a Trojan horse, where he would walk by, rub it on a guy. He has 3 days before the guy will die. He has time to leave the country. Those weapons exist. I helped develop those weapons. The reason I tell you that is because I use the same chemistry. It's called glucosidic or glycosidic chemistry. I attach a glucose molecule onto the astaxanthin. Observe it. I didn't mean to turn this into a classroom.
I'm glad you brought that up because I know I want to get to questions. I know everybody's just dying to ask you questions.
Then let's go to questions now.
Let's do, okay.
And if it comes up, I can explain.
That would be great. Okay, this is the point where we're going to open it up to the room. So you go ahead. Let's see the hands go. Oh,
In the back?
real quick.
Okay. What's the foundation of your knowledge? What did you study at the University of Texas? And also, I don't think you can teach creativity in the classroom. How did you develop your creativity?
It's an interesting point, but it's going to go back. I was born in 1953. No, I'm not going to go back. I remember in the 6th grade, I had a teacher that had no guardrails. She wore blue jeans, came to school. We went out in the fields. We looked at leaves. And her name is Ruth Craig, and I remember to this day. I thought I was in awe of the world. And I maintained that awe. I'm 73 years old. I'm still that same little boy. I don't know how much longer my body will hold out, but I'm still mentally that same boy. She initiated that. She had me going into cracks and crevices and getting rocks and bringing them, and she would identify them. And there was no, don't get in that cave because it can cave in. Don't climb that tree. She had no concept of risk. She let us do those things. So that was probably what stuck me from the very beginning. Now, my background, I have undergraduate degrees in chemistry and physics. I have a bachelor's in chemical engineering, have a master's in biochemical engineering and environmental science, and I have a doctorate in divinity.
Okay.
And the divinity is a philosophical issue because of the position that I was pinched into. I was a trained evolutionist. Not anymore.
This is great.
Yeah.
Gary told me to ask, do you have any pills in your pocket?
I do not. I should have brought some. But it's easy enough. Yeah, it's easy enough. There's no prescription needed. We're now in 27 countries.
Good.
It went from a brain fart to a $12 million a year business in 4 years.
Now my real question. Thanks, Gary. What is your beautiful story? Thank you. What is your why now?
My why now is that I'm still finding needs, and I'm going to go through several of them. I have several patents that I'm just looking for somebody to pick up and take the legacy on, because I'm not going to be here forever. I've got a sludge technology ready to go, but a friend of mine came to me and he said, lithium iron phosphate batteries aren't going to be acceptable. They're too dangerous.
Yeah.
The geopolitical problems with lithium. So I eliminated them. And I can now, a 48 volt lithium iron phosphate battery weighs about 65 pounds, which you put into a golf cart. I can carry the same energy density in a supercapacitor that weighs only 3 pounds. So now the military, 40% of a military drone is batteries. Now it's less than 4%, which means they can carry more armament, more recon equipment on that same drone, or they can fly that drone instead of 3 hours, they can fly 8 hours. This technology we're developing at the STEM Center down on 378. And it's patent pending. but it all came from somebody needing something. If I thought of it, it's a hobby. If somebody else values it and brings it to me, it's a business.
I know you are successful, and it sounds like you spent a lot of time making certain that you are successful. How does your family fit into all of this? How do you have time for them?
My first family, I'm divorced as a result.
Okay.
So, speaking from experience, I chose my obsessions over my family.
Okay.
And the family I have now, she's my primary partner. I do nothing without her okay. It was a very learning experience and a life-changing. But women, don't think you can change your men.
That's right.
Amen to that.
That's not going to happen. You find that man right off the bat.
You're getting amens
Yeah, I know,
back here.
I know. Find that man right off the bat. Spend time and hold out as long as you can and find that man before you make that commitment.
Yes, I have to change myself to deal with him.
This is what I'm getting put on my tombstone. Somehow I knew I'd get blamed. And then on the backside, I'm going to put, I tried to tell you I was sick.
I think everything, well, especially I love scientists because they do create a lot and they figure out a lot of things that's going on. And it is a lot of gatekeeping in the health system and just in general. Of course, we know that's just a part of life in the world. So some things we do have to figure out on our own for the ones that's not the gatekeepers. But I think out of all the things that you've said about success and business, everything you've done, I like the part about going back to when people have impact on you when you was a child.
Yeah.
I think that's the driving force to a lot of them. What's good, bad, or ugly. And so that's my mission is to be able to get our children to do things while they're young, to get off the screen time. I have a 11-year-old grandson that's been grounded for the last 2 weeks, but we have the best time now.
Absolutely.
No screen time, no TV time. It's been amazing how happy he is. So I want to
It's more difficult now than what it was for us. We still played outside.
That's it.
I had it a little easier. If I'd had a Game Boy none of this would have come true.
That's right.
We got time. Yes, Deb.
Great story. Great story. How frustrating is it for you that the whole world doesn't know about it? I mean, I know the best about wellness, and I've never heard of it till Tom mentioned it. So, I mean, everyone says to me, if you have the cure for cancer, why don't you take it somewhere? I said, well, there's no building that says we're looking for the cure for cancer.
The reason is, and let me go through what happened. After I testified in April of 2019, the state of Oregon sued me for practicing medicine without a license. And I was the only non-attorney ever allowed to practice law in federal court in the state of Texas. True story. So I had a legal background that I could respond to the state of Oregon with. So I wrote down my rebuttal. It's 13 pages. I can give it to you. But at the very last paragraph, I put in there that under the First Amendment, as a research scientist, under the Freedom of Information Act, no government official can take that away from me. So in the bottom, to the Director of Health and Human Services in the state of Oregon, I told her I needed her name, address, and bank account number in that rebuttal. Well, 3 days later, she gets it. She calls me on the phone. She said, Mr. Shepard, she said, this is one of the fastest responses we've ever gotten from a complaint. But she says, right here in this last paragraph, it says you need my name, number, and bank account number. I said, oh, absolutely. She said, what's that for? And I said, well, I said, you're a government official, and I'm going to sue you for every dime you have ever made and will ever make in your life if this goes forward. Under the First Amendment, you're violating my First Amendment rights. She said, well, Mr. Shepard, I'm indemnified by the state of Oregon. I said, ma'am, you need to reread the First Amendment. There's no indemnification allowed. You're personally liable. Now, the state may pay your bill for the next 50 years of your life, but that's up to the state. You're going to go down with the rest of them. And there was like silence on the phone. She said, well, Mr. Shepard, she said, I think you've answered this rebuttal. I don't think anything's going to come of this. And I said, you let me know. 7 days later, they terminated the complaint in the lawsuit. They investigated the oncologist that filed the complaint. He's now before the medical board. He may have lost his license. And the reason is in that report, cancer doctors are the only doctors that get paid cash when they put you on chemo or radiation. The only ones. Only 2 out of 3 PET scans are actually cancer. But if an oncologist reads it, 100% of them are. So they're putting people in, each patient to an oncologist is $250,000 into his bank account. Whether you have cancer or not. So he gets paid by the pharmaceutical company, and then he gets paid retail from the insurance company. They're the only doctors. And it's called remuneration bias. They're making decisions on who they declare has cancer and chemo based on how much money is in his bank account. That's what's wrong with our healthcare program. I've met with 2 of Bobby Kennedy's staff people. How many people here eat fruit? Okay. Fruit's the #1 poison in our food system. #1.
Sugar.
Fructose. Not so much sugar, but fructose. Fructose cannot be used by a single cell in your body. It goes to the liver. It's where all your cholesterol comes from. It's not animal fat, not oils. It comes from fructose. I don't eat any fruit. I haven't eaten fruit in 20 years. And I don't have scurvy. You know, why else do you eat fruit other than the sweetness? It's like nature's candy. So all sweetness comes from fructose. It's the single largest inflammatory cause of disease in our food system. And people don't want to believe it. I taught it. I taught a biochemistry course. It's in the textbook. This is not clinical requirements. We don't have to clinically prove it. It's a fact. It is taught that biochemistry, fructose is a poison. I find it ironic that Eve ate the fruit of the apple and introduced inflammatory disease into the human race. In an apple, for example, you have the skin of the apple and you have the seeds of the apple. And the skins and the seeds contain the antioxidants. The fruit causes the oxidation process. And so I calculated in my spare time what size apple, the whole apple, if I eat the whole apple, do I get enough of the antioxidants to offset my desire for sweetness from the fruit? The apple is smaller than 1 inch in diameter. That's as big an apple as anybody should be eating. We hybridized our apples, created more fruit. It used to be an apple a day would keep the doctor away. Now an apple a day will bring the doctor to your door. Go ahead.
Yeah, what's your thought on AI and its overall effect on the efficacy of mankind?
Funny you should ask. 1985, I worked for a company called Air Products. And we had 7 people sitting in an office that when a new product came down from the business area and would to go to market, it took a year for that to happen, because all of the properties of that chemical, it's hazardous, would come down to the person who was responsible for international maritime shipments and ships, marking, labeling, placarding, what kind of container it had to be in. Took him a month to do that. Then, when he was finished, he would send it over to somebody that did 18-wheeler bulk shipments. When he was done, he'd send it to another guy who put it in drums. What was all the marking, labeling, and placarding requirements for that? Took about a year from a product to move from research to the marketplace. So I went and flow charted the thought processes of those 7 people. If then. And I built, you remember Lotus? Anybody remember Lotus? Now you're letting in on your age. I tried to do it with a macro on Lotus, and it busted the machine. It didn't work. So then I went to our MIS group, Management Information Systems, and I said, do you have something that I could build infinitely, this if-then logic from these people's thought process? And he said, yeah. He said, just came out. It's called a shell. And you can just build it, you input into it, and it'll kick out the answers. So I took these 7 people's thought process, put it in a computer. Now when a product came down from the business area in 5 minutes, I had everything done. That normally took a year. So I'm asked to go present to the board of Air Products. I go over and I do a 1-hour presentation telling them about these artificial computer systems that are replacing human beings. I come back and they fired those 7 people and cleaned their offices out. And they were my friends. Not after that. So I know, to answer your question, AI is going to cause total disruption like the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
It's going to shift the job function of routine jobs are going to go away. Now, in the Industrial Revolution, it took 2 decades to phase them in, and then we ended up in a depression right before World War II, and then we got another big burst after World War II that helped bring those people back into the system. We're in for a very rude awakening.
It's better used as a tool rather than a replacement.
It will always be used as a replacement because labor is your primary cost component.
And people are always going to strive to make the most money.
We got it. My students, you guys have to go. We'll let you. I see a little. Let this. Yes.
Okay, and I want to. Sam will be around for a few minutes, all right? But to full disclosure, so you know, Sam and I are partners in the Inflammatory Disease Research Foundation, which we set up in, I think, 2019. Yes. And I have been taking 100 milligrams of Elasta every day for 8 years now. All right, and I find it to be a health benefit. This is not sales.
That's why you look like that.
Yeah. But Sam, on behalf of 1 Million's Cup, there's another cup to add to your home. Yes.
Thank you very much.
What they talk enjoy the sun. Yeah. Beautiful white time.
I appreciate the work of the Department of Defense and enabling those missions. So what I'm hearing is that basically Big Pharma and oncology industry is what's preventing this becoming widely known to the American people as well as the industry. And so what do we do as a free market society to create that market so that that's thwarted?
That's a great question.
Everybody in this room has been affected by cancer.
Yes.
And the fact that this isn't more widely known is criminal.
The sales and marketing, because after I was sued by the state of Oregon, the state of Texas sued me, they lost also. Then in December, early December, and I'll show you pictures, I'm in my front yard hanging Christmas lights, and I've got a wooden lot across from me, and somebody tried to take me out. Fired a .223 round, blew up my fence, missed me by 4 inches. Lexington County Sheriff was called. I jumped behind a truck, yelled up, stop shooting, didn't hear anything back. headed for the house, didn't hear another shot. Got in the house, called the sheriff. Sheriff came out. The deputy looked at it, put a wire in the bullet hole in the fence, and it pointed right up into the trees. He pulled his weapon, he walks up into the trees, and he finds where somebody's been laying for at least 2 hours in a pile of leaves because he saw where he's rolled over and urinated. And there was a boot print. And they were able to cast that boot print. He said, he came in, I told him what I was involved in, and he said the FBI's got to get involved in this. So he turned it over to the FBI. The FBI called me, Agent Reichert, I think was his name, and I thought it was a deer hunter. Somebody just shooting towards houses in the woods, and he said, no, Mr. Shepard, he said, I've got 17 cases just like this. He said, they're all dead. He said, you're the only survivor I have. He said, you got to tell me what went down. So I started explaining to him about Velasta and all that. He said, no. He said, I have your whole file. I know exactly who you are, and I know what you do. But he said, where were you? Why do you think this was a deer hunter? And I said, was it a deer hunter? He said, no, it wasn't. So I said, how do you stop it? He said, there's only one way, and that's to go public with what you know. He said, you're taking this way too personal. And I'm going, well, somebody shot at me. He said, no. He said, it's the information they want to stop. He said, I've got 17 cases. He said, I got one guy, a doctor in Texas, shot twice in the head, ruled as a suicide. He said the first round was a 22, right over the ear, cracked the skull, but the bullet never penetrated his skull. It tumbled between the skull and the skin and come out here. It was a non-lethal shot. The second one was directly in the back of the head. And I'm a forensic engineer. I solve path-type disasters. I said, that's no suicide. Well, the other thing he told me was the gun was still in the guy's hand. So that's a dead giveaway. Whenever you commit suicide, the gun can fly anywhere from 3 to 20 feet away, depending on the caliber. So, but it was found in his hand. So I said, what happened? He said, well, the first bullet knocked him out, cracked his skull, and he was unconscious. The coroner says he picked the gun back, woke up, picked the gun back up, realized he was still alive, put it all the way in the back of his head, and shot himself in the back of the head. He said, those are the kinds of cases that I'm dealing with. So early on, I chose not to market it. I didn't want to be called a snake oil salesman, because nobody is going to understand the biochemistry and the complexity of what it was that we had at that time. And it was very complex. Now you can see it. Now you can research it. But at that time, there was no sales, no marketing. I began giving the product to my family and friends. They're stage 4 cancers. These are people 2 to 4 months, 3 to 6 months to live. In 30 days, they were cancer-free.
Wow.
That was the eye-opener. And it began to rattle a bunch of oncologists. I get a call from an oncologist in Wheeling, West Virginia. She said, I have 8 patients we've sent home with hospice. She said, now they're coming in and they're cancer-free. They don't know each other, but they all have one thing in common. They're taking this product called Velasta. And your name keeps coming up when we research it. I said, yeah, probably does. And she says, can you explain to me what it is? And I said, sure. And so I explained it to her, and she said, there's another reason I'm calling you. And she said, my husband just got diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. Mm-hmm. And I used her first name, and I said, you're an oncologist. You have castration, you've got chemo, you've got radiation, you've got surgery. Her comment to me rattled me. She said, nobody in my family is doing chemo or radiation. I said, you understand what you just said to me? She said, I understand perfectly well, but it's the only protocol we have. I said, not anymore. There's no side effects to this. You'll know arthritis goes away in about 7 to 10 days. Now I have world-renowned cardiologists who have reviewed it. Dr. Stefan Kais, the inventor of the Kais stent. It saved so many lives back in the late 70s. He's the first guy to save a human life. He asked me and my wife to come to his heart institute in San Antonio. We've been on it longer than any other human beings on the planet. And he wants to do an arterial scan in our body, in our heart, in our lungs, and up in our brains, and look for atherosclerosis. We signed our lives away. We went over there as guinea pigs, got on the table, ran a catheter in, and I'm watching. This technology is unbelievable, but I'm watching that needle going in every artery in my body, moving around in there. And he gets up here to the heart, he injects the dye, all the arteries light up, and he said, if we find anything at your age, thank you, if we find anything, we'll fix it while we're in there. I said, okay. So I go back into recovery, and he's #1 cardiologist in Poland. He's #4 here in the United States. Teaches at Baylor. Throws that curtain back. And he says, Eastern Europeans use the F word about every other word. He says, I don't know what the F is going on here. Just as serious as a heart attack. He can run over the bed, and I said, what's going on? He said, you want the good news or the bad news? I said, give me the good news first. He said, the good news is we find no inflammation in your arteries. Out of 56,000 patients, you're the only one at your age that I do not find atherosclerosis. He said, you have the coronary health of a 20-year-old. And I said, well, what's the bad news? The bad news is, and he pulls up this video, he says, you have a congenital heart defect. And I said, congenital since birth? He said, yes, since birth. And what it is called a severe systolic kink, which means my lad, the main artery that goes over here, called a widowmaker, goes over your heart and puts all the blood into your heart. On every heartbeat, I have a heart attack. I have for my entire life. It kinks shuts the blood supply off to my heart on every heartbeat. I played football, I wrestled, I boxed in college. I'd recommend you not do that. I never had a problem. And I'm looking at that, and it's severe. I mean, every heartbeat, this thing just looked like a worm wiggling. I said, how long can you live with that? He said, you lived with it this long. He said, if a blood clot hits that, that's called a widowmaker. And you don't even make it to the hospital. You're dead within just a couple minutes. It's over. I said, well, can you fix it? He said, we're not going to fix that. He said, you've had that since your birth. I said, well, how long can I live with that? He said, how old are you? I said, I'm 71. He goes, well, he said, probably the best I can give you is 30 to 35 years. I'm going, okay, I'm in.
I just have any autistic, have you done any, yes, Tom?
We have. We've now, and the papers are going to start coming out. Autism is caused from inflammation of the mother in the first trimester. It's an inflammatory disease. It's caused by those free radicals creating electrical activity and rewiring in the brain. That's really recent research, probably within the last 60 days. That's what's causing it. Now, if it's inflammatory in the autistic child, because it carries over in them, this works. This slows them down, allows them to become more focused. But we now have a blood test everybody should get. Your doctor's going to flip out when you go in and tell him to run it. It's called an HSCRP. HSCRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein. And that's a measure of your inflammatory disease state.
What is it,
HSCRP. If that number is under 3 milligrams per liter, you will not get a disease. That's how important that test is. The doctors don't run it anymore. Up until about 20 years ago, they ran it as part of your blood work. But everyone was inflamed from fructose, by the way. But stress causes it. This is the way the inflammatory tree works. Down here are the causes, the generation of those 4 free radicals. Now this is stress, worry, diet, alcohol, smoking, environmental pollution, medicines. They all generate ROS. Those 4 reactive oxygen species. Chronic inflammatory stress in your body results in diabetes, Alzheimer's, cancer, heart disease, arthritis. These are the tips of the branches. Doctors only treat the symptoms out here. You have to present with a disease before they'll give you any medicine. What this product does, it cuts the tree off right there. Go ahead.
So actually, have a question about the entire thing in regards to fruit. Wouldn't that also include vegetables as well as other things human consumes, also including nuts, as well as the large quantity of sugar that we have consumed in the last 200 years as compared to
sugar, not vegetables. Vegetables are low in fructose.
You said low in fructose, but you said fructose in general. Which there are vegetables that have similar levels of fructose as fruits because they are classified in a very different way. So if you
there's even some fruits. It's in minus out equals accumulation. So that's the engineering equation. So let's take bananas. Bananas have 4.8 grams of fructose per 100 grams of banana. Now that's a ripe banana. Anything over 4 grams of fructose per 100 grams of fruit is going to give you inflammatory disease. Blueberries are 2.2 grams per 100 grams. Blueberries are okay. Blackberries are okay.
Avocados.
Avocados are good.
Cherries.
Bad.
I thought they were the highest in antioxidant.
They are, but they're also the highest. They're high in fructose.
Raspberries. Right?
Raspberries are good. No oranges, no orange juice.
Wait, what about blueberries?
Blueberries are good. They're low. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. No oranges, no dates, no raisins, no grapes. Watermelon's okay.
Coincidentally, most of these foods you're naming are the same things they tell diabetics to stay away from.
That's the reason. Now, let's go through. I don't know how much time people have.
Gotta get to work.
Well, diabetics, type 2 diabetics. When they produce insulin from your RNA, when it goes to the ribosome, it clumps. It folds. You get this little reactive site on your insulin, right here. This is what reacts with the insulin receptors on your cell to open up the glucose channels to allow sugar to flow from your bloodstream normally into the cell. Now you have the hydroxyl free radical, which has a 0 charge. If that bumps into that, it steals an electron, and the OH becomes a -1. That thing unfolds. Now, find that reactive function statistically on this now unfolded protein. It electrostatically becomes unstable, and it will find a new unfolded 3D shape. That's called insulin resistance. Go ahead.
I'm thoroughly enjoying what you're saying so far. I'm trying to stay here and learn more. But I do have a question. So, for example, for those who are on have high cholesterol, already on medication, and high blood pressure medication, how can they utilize your product and wean off the medication that they're on?
Okay. This is a natural product. There's no contraindications at all with any medicine we've seen to date. That includes chemo, metoprolol, amlodipine, the blood pressure. The only one that has posed a little bit of a problem are people on heparin, warfarin, or blood thinners.
What is it called again?
Heparin, warfarin, or blood thinners. The reason is this changes and normalizes your platelet electrostatic potential. Your blood becomes normal. You don't give normal people heparin or warfarin, and their blood gets very thin, and you've got to manage that pretty carefully to get off of the warfarin and the heparin because you can bleed. So those are things that we want to watch pretty carefully. It's not that it messes with the warfarin or heparin, it just messes with the overall biology.
So they can stay on any medication.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking once they get better, they don't need medication.
They don't need the medication.
How will we know when is that?
You test.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, your blood test.
So my question, my husband is here and hope you don't hate me for this, but as far as his PS levels, right, they're high. So he typically goes and get biopsy done, but he takes a pill like every day to shrink this and all that. But how does your product help with the PSA?
Stops the inflammation. So with PSA, there's two reasons why you get your PSA is going to be high. Early on, it's from inflammation, not cancer.
Okay.
It's called prostatitis. So this will stop it. If something is chronically inflamed, statistically, it raises the risk that it's going to go into cancer. It's going to mutate your DNA. And so this will eliminate the inflammatory cause of his high PSA.
Okay.
And the swelling will come down just with this. You can do it in conjunction with the pill that he's taken. You'll see a pretty dramatic improvement. I don't really care what the doctors think, which one caused it, but just get that number down.
Okay.
I hope you don't mind if I kind of shift gears a bit here. You mentioned something caught my ear. You mentioned replacing a 65-pound lithium-ion battery with a 3-pound capacitor.
Supercapacitor.
Okay. Where are those commercially available? And if so, where can you get something with such a slow discharge rate?
The supercapacitor technology that we have is not commercially viable yet. It's easy to make, and I can show you how to make them. China is on the same issue. A friend of mine is the director of intellectual property acquisition for the People's Republic of China. I'm not going to go into that whole relationship. A very good friend. I've known him now for 10 years, and he informed me that China is going down the same route. Now, what I invented was a polymer with nanographene inside the polymer. So a capacitor, just so everybody's on board, a capacitor is an aluminum plate with another aluminum plate separated by a membrane with an electrolyte in it. So you have these two plates, and the capacitance is proportional to the area, X times Y, divided by the distance between these plates. So if I put a plus charge here and a negative charge here, it holds that charge. The advantage of this is a flat plate. The advantage of this is that this has infinite hysteresis. I can charge and recharge this over and over and over. We're up to 120,000 charge and recharges without losing efficiency. In a lithium iron phosphate battery, you only get about 2,000 to 3,000 charges, then you have to replace the battery.
Do the
These are
individuals
infinite.
over time as well, right? Like 6 months without being charged, 7 months without being charged. Does that affect it?
It affects a lithium battery
Yes.
dramatically.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect these. This is a static charge. Now, what our patent is based on, I'm going to tell you this. Don't go out there and start copying it. I went in the third dimension. So instead of it being X and Y, I went in the Z direction. So think of it as Russian dolls, nested. Cup within a cup. And the male portion of the inserted cup has a distance to the female wall side of the cup.
And you measured that.
And that's the distance. Now, let me give you an example. An 8-foot column of 3-inch PVC pipe filled with these nested cups and charged holds 2 kilowatts of power. If you lose power in your house, that one column will run your house for 1 day, typically. Air conditioner, everything. And then it just recharges when the power comes back on again. It recharges. No more generators. I met at 5 Points here with 2 producers and a PhD student from USC and Dr. Jeff Scott. I don't know whether you know Dr. Jeff Scott or not. He's the chair of the public health. He was the chair. I think he's retired now. So we go to 5 Points and we meet him. Well, these producers says, we want to develop those capacitors because California just ruled no more gasoline generators, no more diesel generators. We don't know how to provide electricity off-set, out in the woods somewhere where they're filming. How do you get electricity out there for the lighting? So they're building lithium iron phosphate 18-wheelers. Now, if a lithium iron phosphate battery shorts, you've got a huge fireball.
Oh yeah.
And you can't put it out.
Major environmental.
Yeah, that's like
it's a
best
problem.
case scenario, something that.
These don't do
still
that.
not a good scenario.
These have internal thermistors. They just break the circuit, and we're off and
They're doing that also with units too, heat and air conditioning. They're doing that with units as well.
where they put a capacitor in. The capacitor's there for the same reason, but it's to take the load, startup load, off the compressor. So those are commercially available, and they are nothing more than these rolled up into a battery-looking thing, and that's all it is. But what we did is we are 22 times more capacitance than the current commercially available capacitors. It's a game changer. No more lithium iron phosphate batteries. So don't invest in them.
What's the lifetime of the one that you're producing?
So far, it's infinite. We don't have a decay because there's no chemical reaction. It's pure electricity, static charge. Rub a balloon on your hair, stick it on a wall.
So commercially, the ones they produce, they only last about 3 to 5 years, so you can turn around and buy another one.
Yeah.
These are forever.
They intentionally do it that way so that you'll keep buying from them over and over again. Makes them.
Well, that's just like.
And all of this is coming out of Batesburg, Leesville, South Carolina. He's running his $12 million business on Main Street in Batesburg, Leesville, right down from he makes almost as much revenue as Sheely's does. Okay, selling barbecue.
It's not much fun.
Right,
but
like
you can
two
go
blocks,
in.
two
You can go in
blocks
that,
down the street.
You can go in there and buy all the Velasta you want. You can order it online. No prescriptions needed. We now have doctors prescribing it. So when you talk about not seeing it out in the marketplace, that was intentional. I had no interest in having people come after me. And now it's gone completely around the world. We have offices in Dubai, Singapore, Australia, Poland, Denmark, Cairo, Tel Aviv, the UK. It's all over the world. We're in 26 countries and all 50 states.
All out of Batesburg, Leesville.
It truly took the post office in Batesburg, Leesville from we're afraid we're going to be closed, to, oh my golly, we're bigger than Lexington post office now. They're shipping a lot of product out of Batesburg.
UPS loves them.
Yeah, UPS comes and picks up in tubs.
Went from.
I'm going to answer the last question. What can 1 million cups do for you?
Oh, that was over. We already.
I know, right? We already.
There's distributorships. You could actually go out and start marketing the product to people, telling people about it. That's probably the best way to do it. But I have other technologies that I'm not going to live long enough to see them come to fruition. These supercapacitors. There's a whole business that can be built manufacturing these things right here in Batesburg, Leesville. It's that simple. We have a hydrogen production facility, so if you see a mushroom cloud, you'll know that it was but we are taking solar power and cracking water into hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen is being used for ozone for nitrate remediation in coal-burning power plants. Instead of injecting ammonia, they inject ozone. The hydrogen is stored in a big balloon, and then I have a hydrogen generator. So I have a way of storing hydrogen, turning on the generator when I need power, and I'm generating my own fuel from solar. We have I have windmills. We teach alternative energy to people. But you've got to be interested in getting it to market. It's got to be a business plan. The sludge plants. I've got an algae harvester I hold the patent to, where right now it's just waiting for somebody to pick up the ball and run with it. We build robots. You put out on a pond, it skims up all the hydrilla, all the algae, brings it off, we compost it, and we make a fertilizer, soil conditioner out of it. All that is already worked out. We already have that. I just don't have anybody to run the business or has interest in running that business.
That's how I first met Sam. I was working with what was his name?
Bill Grass.
Yeah, no. But anyway, we had a third partner who had this idea about Bryce Smith, about harvesting algae as a remediary step for power plants. Right, because the algae clogs up their intakes, and they didn't have a convenient way to do anything with it except turn off that generator, stop the flow of the water, and put divers to work down there to get it done. And that's Sam was in Charleston at that time, so we talked to this Jeff guy, all right, over there at USC. And he said, "Well, if you're going to ask me about algae, I will defer to a man named Sam Shepard down in Charleston. He's about the best I know of anything about algae."
Saved my life.
And Bryce comes back from Charleston. He said, "Forget anything having to do with skimming algae off a pond." He said, "We need to take a look. We need to look at what he's got going on." And ultimately, he decided to relocate from Charleston to Batesburg, Leesville, and has his compound out there where all of this is going on. I mean, this is going from idea to at least prototype, at least first market opportunity with a marginally viable product. And he's got, like you said, and I'm witness to this. He's got several different technologies that are waiting for somebody to pick them up and run with it.
We're currently building a drone running off of these sorry, who said that? Lightning's going to strike me. Operating off of these capacitors. This drone will carry a 220-pound man.
No way.
And we have wing tips on it. So all we do is we use the drone, the EV part, to push the plane forward. Once we hit 12 miles an hour, the plane is airborne. And now you're flying it like a regular airplane, but it'll stop and hover and land on a short field. That's being built out there. You're more than happy to come out and look at what we're doing. And if you have interest in building drones, there's a whole other business. I got the guy, the Leonardo da Vinci, staying out there now while this project's going on, and he's building it. So we're integrating I want to build these supercapacitors and make them available into the marketplace. I can now charge your phone with one of these supercapacitors. It's the size of a quarter. The biggest part of it is the USB connection. Charge your phone for a week. Takes less than 3 minutes to charge it, and it'll hold a charge for a week.
What can 1 million cups do for you, Sam?
Right now, it's all about sales and marketing. How do we get this out to the public?
Derek left too early. Yeah, it's all about
I'm still here.
I'm just at third in line.
Okay, all right.
We all work.
Set up with the Velasta. It's not multi-tiered marketing, multi-level marketing, because there's not much margin in it. We try to keep it affordable because people who have cancer are economically distressed.
Yes, they cannot afford it.
They can't afford it. So we've never had a price increase for 5 years now. I have no intention of raising that price. It's squeezing, but more companies are now producing the astaxanthin commercially. So our first plant was Fuji Chemical up in Moses Lake, Washington, and I built those reactors for them under the stipulation they would never raise my price. Well, my price was $1,000 per kilogram, or $10,000 per kilogram of pure astaxanthin, because we get it in a 10% solution, $1,000 a kilogram. Now, since then, I've went to Israel, convinced them to start producing it in Israel, and then went to Iceland, and they're now producing it in Iceland. So our supply position and our dollar amount for us to buy it is dropping. That's how we're getting the margins. But that's only 40% of our P&L. So I've got to have a pretty substantial drop in the astaxanthin and the cost of goods for me to be able to look at that from a revenue point of view or a net income point of view. You mentioned the algae, Okeechobee. These algae reactors, Okeechobee in Florida is in trouble. It's tipped over. And all they're doing right now is killing the algae. When they kill the algae, it goes to the bottom of the ocean, or bottom of the lake, and bacteria re-releases all of the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium back into the water column. So next year, it's twice as bad.
Right.
So you not only have an inventory of all these nutrients, you're also continuing to flood in through farm fields all the fertilizer into Okeechobee. So Okeechobee is sludging out. So the only solution is to pull the biomass out of Okeechobee and start removing that NPK out of the ecosystem. I don't think there's enough time left in human existence that's going to allow us to do that at Okeechobee. I think they've tipped over. There's some here, and I'm working with Commissioner Hugh Weathers of the Ag Department here on trying to mitigate some of these lagoons, chicken farmers, because it's high nutrient, high ammonia, high potassium levels, and all their ponds are green. You could almost walk across them. So we built these little robots, like a pontoon boat, with a belt that goes down the end with a weed killer. So if it hits the hydrilla, it cuts it off. All comes back up onto a bunker belt. We bring it on shore, put it in a truck, and go compost it. An interesting life, but I am old. You can't get through this without picking something up.
Is there any value in this stuff that you're
composting?
Yeah, the composting.
Yeah, they're using it like super sod, full replacement value, versus buying fertilizer right now with the ammonia contents about $800 a ton. We sell it at $400 a ton.
What about the Okeechobee problem? That stuff.
It can all be used down there on ranches. Instead of them buying chemical fertilizers, they should be using this natural fertilizer, and it's time released. Chemical fertilizers wash off with the first rainfall and end up in Okeechobee, so there's a lot of wastage when that happens. With this, it doesn't. It stays in the soil longer. Thank you.
What's the address?
Everybody have a great day.
Valasta, V-A-L.
VALASTA.net.
VALSTA.
I'm gonna need to remember that for when I get cancer in the future.
You take it before you get cancer, honey.
Yeah. Get your HSCRP under
Smart enough to remember that.
.com.
Yeah, I was it's surprising. It's like permit that you started mentioning all that stuff. Don't feel it's pondering, but I'm pondering.
Consultation with people with cancer. So people call in, our nurses are giving them culture because they're at the end of the day.
Yeah, so it would have.
I've been on
Yeah.
Really cool industries that have ended the cancer industry. And they ended
This is sort of a blend. I understand the science, but let's go the natural way. And
Dr. Christopher?
business to create it, but it threatens.
And then Fred Beachy, who was the Dr. Beachy in New York, who was the first raw vegan. He had all the powers. He's eating raw food for 60 years. Nothing cooked. No fruit.
Our body is
That's right.
Good. It's not bad.
They say drink more. What is that?
Not only are we H2O, we also have iron, or the fentanyl reaction. And it generates these free radicals. Whenever H2O
Exposed to
is
CIA.
iron in your blood, it forms these free radicals. That's a problem. And up until age 42 in women, they're producing enough cellular antioxidants for catalase and SOD, superoxide dismutase. So we do stupid things when we're younger, we go away with it. Then at age 42 in women, age 50 in men, it shuts off.
That's another thing. I just recently started the window
And that's when we get
business,
age onset.
and I'm trying to figure out how to market that.
And the way we repair those is in the ADP, in the mitochondria. The mitochondria generates all of these free radicals. And if you don't have the antioxidants to neutralize them, as the cell, then we go down. It's just a matter of time.
Then you get to hire somebody to post all over Facebook, look at all the windows, this guy watch.
I'll be contacting you. All right.
Fortunately, I got a small stack of pieces for us to get, so.
Well, he has
Swish window wash.
He may have heard of it. Doctor's Hero. They cannot prescribe it under their
I put the contacts up on there.
It's a natural product. They don't prescribe vitamin C unless you're deficient. They don't. They're not going to give you supplements. We've got grass exemption from the FDA January of the state. And now and AstraZeneca and prostate cancer. The research is already done. So just do NIH and AstraZeneca and whatever the disease is. So it's cancer, heart disease, arthritis, irritable bowel, autism, The NIH has done all the research.
So what's it gonna take to make this bigger? It's like you're telling me. The moment I first think of that, you're telling me I'm going to give them too much.
The lack of that's their problem. They can't interfere with this. This is no debt in this company. We didn't want to be in a position where we were dependent or somebody would have external revenue. How much does it weigh? It's 1 milligram per pound of body weight.
You're supposed to be homeschooling them, aren't you?
I didn't do it.
Oh, I didn't think you could. I'm sorry, honey. No.
My daughter got into a French immersion.
That's wonderful.
But we was trying that out. We're going to do case by case every year. If I don't like it next year, we're snatching and going. I'm going on the road.
Going on the road. I got a friend who does that with his kids.
If you can see it on my website, you can see where it says hire us, you can see where it is.
Those are the ones that are actually promoting it. I've got she's probably we do health food stores now. We have drugstores now putting it on their shelves, making shelf space for it, which was unheard of 5 years ago. They thought it was practical. Then when the NIH began to publish their research papers, the game changed. Everybody is now trying to figure out what is this? Why is this for short hand?
So this would be, in my case, take supplements.
Perfect. And measure your PSA, because you'll see your PSA numbers. Oh, that's not it. That's it. It's the trend that they're on. 4 PSA. How old are you? That's prostatitis. Then you're early stage. You don't have. I wouldn't even get a biopsy.
My reaction the same way. 8 years ago, 4 out of 5 concerns about it.
Yeah, it's one of those decisions that you're in a position to take this, and in about 2 weeks you'll know. That 4 will be down under 3. Once you're under 3, your risk of getting cancer, prostate cancer, it won't happen in your lifetime. In some cases.
But this would help with that if it was.
Prostate cancer always starts with prostatitis and inflammation. A chronic.
Everything is inflammation.
And that HSCRP, everybody should run it. Now, when you go to your doctor will look at you and say, first, how do you know about that test? Because they've been told, don't broadcast because they can't treat all that test. Steroids is the only thing that will bring that number down, and they are not going to give you chronic steroids because of the side effects. They don't even know the test. They wait until the disease presents, then they treat it.
Actually, they kind of have to, don't
they? They do. That's
Well,
why
that's why it's called disease, you know.
Would that be the test to request versus a urologist or from
anytime you give blood work, any doctor that requests blood work, you tell him to check the box for HSCRP. It's on there. Absolutely.
I have to laugh. I'm an old schooler, so I was around for the Lake Clement.
Very
Oh, good.
2 days before my biopsy.
I was around for the Lake Clement green algae phase. I remember that quite well.
And I want to see
I told them that I'm going to fly it first. I already have the airplane done. We have plenty of space to fly it. Oliver, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming to see you.
I tell people the three things that sleep, anxiety, and pain. Those are the three biggest complaints that people have coming in this month.
And they're not mutually exclusive. They're all caused by the same thing.
I tell them all that, but people don't understand natural medicine. People do not understand. I take that back. They would if they entertained it, but they'd rather get their $5 prescription from the doctor than to invest in their health. And that's
last time I was this product is supposed to pitch it to an organization. This product is $250, $275.
I've already looked it up.
For 100 milliliters. It also has it in pre-made pills. But for $250, it's $60. Bag. You're using the general jump from kind of stick. That's from my wife out of the pharmacy at MUSC. What you last month with our bag, and that bag had one prescription, $20,000, and the other $6 to $8. Now, because of our insurance company, we didn't have to pay.
Somebody paid.
Somebody paid.
Increased premiums to insurance companies.
That's what I'm saying. Growing up, I know
You won't need anything else. No vitamin C. Vitamin D is a little different. In the wintertime, you get a shortage of vitamin D.
I know.
Everybody's vitamin C is inflammatory. Low dose vitamin C is an antioxidant, but it has to process through the liver. In the metabolic breakdown of vitamin C, it kicks back out those hydroxyl-free lipids. You get the inflammation back. It's a complex game, a biochemical game, but you can do
that's what I'm saying.
I'm a believer. Like I said, I've been on high quality for 40 years.
If somebody has
I turned 75 and by the way, now that we're at this stage where all the information is pure, what am I going to die?
eventually the system will break down. That won't be infallible.
My father said there's only one cause of death. My father was a very simple man. He says there's only one cause of death. It's called stoppage of the heart. He said, it doesn't matter what disease you had, ultimately causes stoppage of the heart.
Because your stomach and body.
May I have your card? I can join this next time as a friend. When you told me what you were talking about, I put it online and investigated your product.
Which is why you get spite, because it doesn't know what to do with it, which is why you run fast, because it's trying now to force it out. Because it's not necessarily
now we can do it. But 3 years ago, before COVID, the Discovery Channel came down in 2019 and was going to do a series on the man with breast cancer. So they went around to all the people that were getting cancer and they filmed it. The Discovery team couldn't travel or go anywhere. We retained their film rights. So when you go on the website, the first one you see there is me, and I describe the whole thing in that first.
In our minds.
So that 100, was it 100 milligram LFS? That will reverse prostate cancer.
Well, I'm saying,
Because I have a friend who was operating on yesterday. I wanted to call his mom and let her know.
If it's inflammatory, now you think of something that's not inflammatory. There's some genetic diseases that don't go through an inflammatory stage.
What would one of them be?
Yeah, right. So we're learning things in school, research comes out, updates that information, and they don't ever backtrack.
Scoliosis.
Okay.
He was wrong about that fructose stuff.
That's a whole
And it's from this reform or given that was correct at the time.
all the some other genetics. Arthritis, for example, where you've had arthritis for a long period of time and you've got wear and tear, bone and bone, will help with that. What causes the swelling, inflammation, eliminate that, little bone damage.
Well, I noticed that you caught it at 10 minutes, and I'm on CBD, and so that is, right now, I mean, in the heyday, like a nutrients, I don't teach people anymore because people look at me and say, well, you know, you're a monster. And I just, you know what, stay scared of it. I tell you, when I go to funerals now, and family walk through, and they say, who would have known about that stuff? I'm not telling you.
No.
Go out and be sick, I don't care.
You can lead a horse to water and can't make a drink. And I was very early on, I had family members. My older sister would not take it. She ends up dying of leukemia.
I lost, three brothers, my dad, and my sister, yesterday. And now one of them, and all of the projects changed.
This kills the cancer cell.
I'm very interested. I'm going to pass on some information.
Feel free to.
I feel some
Sure.
What anti-inflammatory products can do, and plus it was talking about you. I don't know if I'm going to need these are my wishes doing what I have spent 40 years.
God gave us everything we need. We just have to discover it.
But watermelon is the highest glycemic fruit, so why is that okay? I mean, it's so high glycemic, but it's high glycemic, not, you know. Oh, yeah. It's not glycemic, it's not
Sucrose, table sugar, well, it's 50% glucose and 50% fructose connected by oxygen. It's like a dumbbell. Well, glucose is used by every cell in your body. Just to get energy for the range for every organ. Fructose isn't used like energy. So fructose goes to the liver. Liver converts it into triglycerides. Cox disease is high triglyceride levels for spending too much time in bed. So once it hits about 400 nanograms per liter in your bloodstream, the liver converts it into LDL cholesterol. That's where your cholesterol comes from.
And right now, it's funny because my cholesterol is not high enough for me to go on statins.
Don't go on statins.
I don't plan on. I've been altering my diet, and of course, if I take my vitamins, eventually it
just take the fruit out. Cholesterol does not cause heart disease. Every cell has to have cholesterol. Absolutely, it's absolutely crucial. Now what happens is in the endothelial cells, inside the artery,
And I'm going to do it, but I'm just
the OH free radical will irritate that cell. And it'll create inflammation. So this cell will crack here, and all the debris of the cell will come out. You've got other cells up here, but that leakage creates an inflammatory response. It's like a wound. What happens? You see a scab. Well, cholesterol and fibrogen are the two that come in here, and they start plating out to close this wound. That's the scab. That's called atherosclerosis. And if these keep coming in, this will attack that scab and it will just keep building up. Here's the wall on the other side of the artery with these cells. This will just keep building up a big scab caused by that. Cholesterol is what is
I'm sorry.
Healing the wound.
No. She
Cholesterol
gave
does
me
not
my
cause
answer.
heart disease.
I'll call it today.
Speaking of that, I'm going to my chiropractor
Everything good going with your
now
new?
yeah, spine's fine.
You know, they gotta do with background and their stuff. That's
Husband.
We had a good trip down there.
That's good. Thank you for bringing him. It was wonderful.
He's on a different level.
Right now, it's Volta Aeronautics, but I don't think the website is available right now. But that's the LLC that it's all being developed. Because we have a synergistic
Robert, you need this?
graphene. Area.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
Area of the capacitance in the numerator.
Yeah, you want to.
Sam man just shot. We're 22 times more energy dense than the same footprint or anything out there.
Hey, Sam.
Yep.
Oh.
Sam's a good name. Charging time. Right. It's a time constant. So it's almost a square root function. So what happens is it charges very fast in the first 20 seconds. The next 20 seconds, the area under the curve is the same. The time constant side. So, if the capacitor takes 10 seconds in the first time, it'll take 30 seconds to finally get up to the acid body part.
I tend to go
every other battle. And typically, because the distance is so close, we can't have
All he needs is
so there's only a 4 volt potential between this plate and
but the big
and that's what the nesting did, is to put them in parallel. And then we take the cotton parallel.
We're fishing my deal. What movie was I'm gonna get
So the amps accumulate all these voltage and
the reason why I'm saying so when you're organizing also being first up, so you see if everybody else is going to be.
And that's what Hugh Weathers said, the lumber. I can take all the lumber from South Carolina, chart, make graphene, put it in my whole polymer, and we've got all that.
That's not
it solves a huge geopolitical issue right now. I mean, there's wars that are going to be fought over lithium. It's a game changer. Yeah, St. Louisville, Wheeling. You grew up in West Virginia? Really? I used to go to Wheeling to get the Wheeling feeling. In South Wheeling, when I grew up, it was still modern. It was a lobster road named Full Lots. And he was number 2 behind Al Capone. That's where one of these murderers. But Elias had a whole underground area with casinos in South Wheeling. And my dad was a car dealer in a town called Bethesda. And Bill Elias used to come there to get cars to move people around.
You know?
My dad gave me the best advice. Always make sure when you're dealing with the mob that they are you.
I'm more interested in his
nice to see somebody from Wheeling.
Yeah,
No, it isn't. Bill Elias used to get a reefer truck, a refrigerated truck, and my dad had one, loaded with frozen Thanksgiving and Christmas stuff in the back. Bill Elias, he was 6'8" and weighed about 400 pounds. And he would kill you to look at. And he would sit on the back of his truck and hand out turkeys to all the people and stuff. That kept him out. He got away, no pun intended. He got away from murder. He blew the legs off of the attorney studio. And never went to prison for it.
Did you get what you needed?
I think so.
All right. So I'm giving my contact information. I can't because I'm organized. I'm trying not to.
Yeah. We've got.
Oh, that's your jacket. That is my jacket. Yeah. So much for the jacket.
Wow.
Thanks for being here.
And we always ended up in the experimental side of marketing, paying out a lot more money than the sales. So we do podcasts, I do radio shows. I've got I did 4 radio shows last week, and those are available. And that sales really take off.
Yeah. Anytime you need advice.